And it's funny, we talked about it for 10 minutes. So I was like, I think he likes the regular mic. I don't know. And then I was like, well, I'll do this. Maybe it'll be easier and he won't have to fight with it. And then, of course, you wanted the other. Are you going to be opening any more documents?
No.
Just kick it off full screen there. So.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Oh, that's can you get open first? We could ask for like her request or something like that.
Really?
That's right. That's right. How's your family doing?
How about y'all? How's it right?
Good.
How's it like in school?
He likes it. Yeah, he's ran a meet up there and he's doing pretty well.
So is
So
he home yet? Homesick yet?
no, he's the one that you don't hear much from. Like he even she calls Shannon like 2 times, 3 times a day.
Yeah.
I mean, they just talk all the time. Grayson's just like he's gone. I think it's just the way boys are, maybe.
Courtney says that her meeting may be running a little bit long, so
Okay.
she's not on. Just give me the look.
Give you the look.
Yes, give
Okay.
me the look. But she says she should be wrapping it up pretty quick.
Okay. Hey, Matt.
Get more new cars. And all. See any turn in the corner anytime. 6 months.
I hear the questions, but I can't hear the answers.
Yeah.
I feel like we're so far apart.
Yeah.
I guess we're supposed to.
Yeah, like we're not. It is telling me. 2 months. Yeah. Transportation. 40 sheds. That's how you can work. Well, so I made that decision 2 months ago. And I talked to him. Sitting outside the door.
Don't see anybody on, so.
Let me know if anybody.
You'll have to ask me.
It wasn't promised. Remember how to use this one? Tech instruction. Yeah, I had to get gas. That's why I was stressing, get gas. Mine was trying to tell me that I should. Yeah.
All right, so you ready? All right, good evening, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. I've got 7 o'clock. If you guys will join me in the prayer, Commissioner Ward's going to do the prayer and then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we thank you so much for this great community. Thank you for the grace and mercy that you show us. I just thank you for every board member that serves on this board that helps see this community grow. We pray that you give favor to those that come and build in our community, to the people that want to develop, and to businesses that want to grow in here. And just be with us tonight during this meeting. And it's all this in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let's go ahead and do roll call for the Planning Commission.
Young,
Here.
Ward. Bird. Here. Lowe.
Here.
Prater.
Here.
Knapp.
Here.
Mowdy.
All right, let's go ahead and get approval for the meeting minutes from our August meeting. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion from Commissioner Prater. Do I have a second? Second, from Commissioner Ward. Roll call, please.
Prater. Knapp.
Yes.
Mowdy.
Yes.
Lowe.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
All right, great, thank you. Let's go ahead and do a roll call for Board of Adjustment.
Young,
Here.
Ward.
Here.
Bird. Here. Lowe. Prater. Knapp. Mowdy.
All right, same thing. Let's go ahead and get approval on our Board of Adjustment meeting minutes from August. Do I have a motion to approve or any corrections? Motion to approve from Commissioner Lowe. Do I have a second? Second, from Commissioner Mowdy. Roll call vote, please.
Prater.
Yes.
Knapp. Mowdy. Ward.
Yes.
Lowe.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
All right, thank you all. Let's go ahead and get started on our agenda for the Board of Adjustment. We have one item of business. Kim?
11 Jaden Commercial, variance to allow for metal siding material exceeding the limit of 30% total area of any one facade. Andrew Frazier.
All right, I think Courtney doesn't look like she's on yet.
Okay, this is a variance request. If y'all will remember, y'all did approve a site plan and a preliminary plat for this site. I believe it was last month for a mini storage unit at Jaden Commercial and Highway 38. The applicant is asking for a variance to allow metal siding to exceed the 30% on all sides of any one facade. You can see in the staff report, the typical standard building design standards that we have in place that include that we do not allow for any one facade to exceed 30% of metal sidings. And I believe the applicant is here, so we can speak on if we have any questions.
All right, thank you, Laura. The applicant, you, Mr. Frazier?
Yes, sir.
If you would, please give us any other insight on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate y'all being here to hear this for us. We're working on the side over on James Commercial Court. We're really excited to be on that part of town, kind of the growth side of Cabot on 38 there. Been working on the site for a long time. You guys might have driven by it. We've got most of the dirt work done out there. We're trying to move along as much as we can while we kind of settle out some of these design pieces. What we're trying to do is, you saw that site plan up there. Most of our facility really faces out on the James Commercial Court. We've got Arkansas, the Highway 38 that runs alongside of us, but kind of runs up onto that giant overpass. And so what we're truly considering a lot of our frontage here is James Commercial. What faces James Commercial, basically what faces that big red gas station that's over there now. So what we're really asking for is to be able to keep pretty traditional design in these storage buildings for most facades, with the exception of everything that faces James Commercial. We go ahead and take those. We've got a front office area on building A. That's going to be a lot of brick. Those facade heights go up to 12 and 14 feet, vary with good color on there. So we're asking for is just to limit the commercial design standard application to just everything that faces James Commercial for us. Our proposal would be to like wrap those back 10 feet on either side so that we continue some of that nicer facade materials, but that we wouldn't be required to have commercial design standard materials on all of these buildings throughout this facility, because most of it's really kind of hidden back in a way. It's traditional storage buildings, so a lot of it's doors, roll-up doors on there. We have a nice color scheme for our brand that works really well. And so we're just asking for the variance to keep most of that kind of traditional storage with the exception of everything that faces the James.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Frazier. Any questions?
Buildings did you say you were gonna buy or?
It would be building, so James Commercial runs, let's call it the north side of that drawing. Should be A, B, and G. And what we're proposing is that on A, we'll have a really nice front on A because it's kind of that corner spot where 38 and J can come together. So we want that to really stick out. I'm sorry these drawings didn't come through better. They're a little bit faded there.
They look good here. It's just up on that screen. They just don't.
Good facade variations. We got mixed materials on there. We'll have brick. We had on there hardy or architectural metal with concealed fastener. We'd love to use more of that. It's a really nice look for the facilities we built in the past. And so on building A, where that kind of jut out goes, we have all of that, even wrapping back into where it kind of indents a bit, made nice, and all that sits outside of our fenced area. So it feels like a really welcoming spot coming off of 38 and off of Jaden. It'd be the same for the front of D and same for the front of G, and then we'd be asking that everything else is allowed to be in R panel, kind of more traditional R panel and roll up doors like you find in a storage facility.
Mr. Frazier, what sort of landscape scheme are you planning on doing along Highway 38?
Along 38, we currently have a 10-foot buffer across that whole thing. I think on the landscape plan that we sent in early on.
Okay.
And so it's got trees and bushes in there. To be honest, they're going to get a little bit lost because they run 38. The elevation's not showing up.
Yeah, it goes up high. Yeah.
It runs up like 25 feet. So by the time you drive past that thing, all you're really looking at is roof line along there, which is part of why we feel like this makes more sense to not feature it. But all along Jaden will have nice landscaping. This whole thing is really well fenced with like nice black fencing. In some parts will be like vinyl chain link black fence, but most of that front side from that building A all the way around to the back corner will be like commercial style steel fencing.
Is the landscaping going to be irrigated, maintained?
I believe it will. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, commissioners, there's a hatched line on ADG. It shows where I think that's the extent of the brick veneer goes wrapping around those ends of each of those buildings.
So where did you say your fence line was going to come in at?
The fence line, basically the entrance to that facility where building A kind of runs back down a little bit and over to the corner. that'll be the fence line where you would enter the facility. So everything in front of that would feel kind of like a nice welcoming office area. We'll have an office in the front corner, bathrooms, little lobby space. So that'll all feel more like a traditional commercial building. And then once you enter from that point back, it'll be a keypad entrance. All of that will just be the interior of the storage facility, which is really kind of more pragmatic consideration for people getting in and out. People hit walls in storage facilities all the time. So we'd really like to be able to put paneling in there that we can replace and keep nice and not have to keep coming back and trying to find matches for.
The one thing the commission should think about is this is in our commercial park area as well. So I think that's something to think about. We just granted a variance just last month on a facility in our industrial district that was asking for a variance to go to all metal, so, or not meet the requirement for the brick. Any other questions, commissioners? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the variance.
A motion from Mowdy. I got a second from Prater. Roll call vote, please.
Prater.
Yes.
Knapp.
Yes.
Mowdy.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Lowe.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
All right, the variance is granted. Thank you, Mr. Frazier.
Thank you all very much.
You too. All right, it is 7:10. We're going to go ahead and close the Board of Adjustment and go over into our Planning Commission meeting, and we'll open up our public hearing and discuss our amendments to the Unified Development Code with Laura Nobles.
Okay, I know this is kind of lengthy and, so I won't take too much time on this. This has to do with our fireworks code. Currently, in the UDC, we do not talk about fireworks because fireworks are not permitted to be shot or sold within the city limits. As you've known, since Mayor McCain's been in office, he has done every year for the 4th of July, and I do believe for New Year's Eve, he's lifted that and allowed residents to shoot fireworks within the city limits. So we've started to address, since that has been going well for the city, we have done some work and decided to add this to the UDC and make it in code for fireworks to be shot within the city limits, as well as fireworks stands to be set up and fireworks to be sold within the city limits. So in this, we took it out of where it was currently being held in the code. So we removed that out of the code and incorporated into the Unified Development Code. The first section is the allowance of when the fireworks can be permitted to be shot within the city limits. They're only being able to be shot within certain days as well as certain times. We have listed regulations on who will enforce the requirements or penalize for penalties as well. Then the next section talks about the sales and display of fireworks. We get into, there has to be a process of permitting them, as well as the time period of when those applications can be accepted. We've got the application fee, we've got the steps they have to go through, as well as how many we're going to allow within the city limits, and that's based on the population from the recent census study that is on record. We're allowing a certain amount of commercial stands, and then we're going to allow a certain amount of stands for a 501c3 organization. We've also listed regulations for the fireworks stand attendant that they have to comply with. I spent several days, many hours doing some research with different cities and comparing them, as well as meshing them together to see what works. I use several cities that have had their ordinance or their regulations in place for several years. I talked to them about what hasn't worked for them, what has worked for them. So, and of course, every city is going to be different. So what we've done is this is our starting point. And this is, like I said, here it talks about the application process, what they have to go through, what they have to supply in order to be able to or get a permit. The permit's only good for a certain amount of time. The window is open for the opportunity for a commercial business to come in as well as a 501c3. We don't want to be able to open the window the first of the year for everybody to come and get theirs for the 4th of July and New Year's Eve. So we have a window for the 4th of July holiday. We have a window for the New Year's Eve holiday. We close the application process so that way at a certain day, which I think it is set either 40 or 45 days prior to the holidays, if we have time to review the applications, we have time for the fire department to review the applications, and then we will give them a letter of intent so that they can purchase their fireworks. And then when they open their stands, the fire department and the building inspector have to go in and inspect their stands to make sure they're up to code, to make sure they have everything set up properly. And then they'll be approved to open and do their sales. They have to have certain signage, they have to have fire extinguishers. I mean, we spelled it out very clear in these definitions. And then with this being a public meeting and y'all gotten these sent to you, if you have any questions or you have any comments, if there's something that y'all see that potentially may need to be added or revised or anything, this is the time for us to discuss it.
What is a sky lantern?
Skyline?
Because I want one.
I gave the bottle rocket back just to let you know. I think it was back. Are you seriously asking?
Yeah, what is that? Yeah.
It is
I haven't seen
literally a lantern that they have candles in, and they're almost like mini hot air balloons, and they let them go, and they are a big fire hazard. They are not permitted in the state of Arkansas.
I haven't seen one. Okay.
Watch some Hallmark movies. And see what's up.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're missing out.
But it is a state law. They are against state law.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Is that it from your side, Laura?
That's a brief summary of it.
Okay. Since this is a public, we'll open it up to the public and have any questions or comments from the public or anybody else, distinguished visitors or aldermen, older people. Yes, sir.
I just had 2 questions, really just clarifications. I think it's page 8, where it talks about fireworks discharge, about 2/3 down the page.
Okay, I'm sorry, but my pages are not numbered, so,
Well, I numbered them myself.
okay.
So,
What section are you in? Sorry.
well, it's under requirements for fireworks stands.
Right.
It's after the permit required structure, blah, blah, blah. About halfway down, it's combustible materials, smoking, and then fireworks discharge. Fireworks shall not be ignited, discharged, or otherwise used within 300 feet of what?
Mhm.
I have my notes. Hang on.
Okay.
Of a stand. Yeah. It's probably of a stand or of a.
I would guess under the stands and tent section, that's where, like where the actual vendors are sitting.
It's talking about the tent, but I can see where I should add one that says tent/stand.
Yeah.
And my last question is on, this is the second to last page. The fireworks stands or tents electrical safety regulation. Item number 4. All wiring must be protected from damage in an approved manner. I don't understand. It's a bit ambiguous with that according to what?
Yeah, probably what, to protect it from damage from any type of arcing or fire hazard, I'm sure. Just may want to clarify, spell that out a little bit more.
I would assume, I'm making this assumption. That they can't use any extension cords or anything that are damaged, don't have any cuts, that they have to be properly in
Protect.
good working condition. So I can change the wording to all wiring must be protected from damage. I'm trying to think of what would be a good.
Proper working condition.
Wires laying across the ground or something. Something covered.
I'm sure there's a code or something.
Yeah, electrical code.
Y'all come in and told me code on that.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Something I would also think of the protection of the wires is if they have a generator running a certain distance away from the tent, which they will have to. All of those wires and lighting and everything in their attachment are going to be run by a rated extension cord, which is temporary use. What in my mind I'm looking at there is where they run that extension cord across the parking lot or along the ground or across where people are going to be walking. They want to protect that so they're not walking on it, causing damage to the cord and possibly someone getting shot or electrical issue at that point. And they could even have it possibly across the driveway, so they would have to be protected with some sort of something to keep you from getting that. And we would look at that during the inspection phase of the setup.
Do I need to reword that sentence is my question. Or is that clarified enough? I got one.
This is number 11, right?
I'm sorry.
Is this number 11?
Number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4. Approve amendment, which I assume would be. I assume approve amendment would be open to the fire department to approve it.
Okay, in a manner approved by the fire department.
Outside electricity.
So basically, y'all can write the law as you go.
He can do that anyway.
Yeah, like, that way when the inspector goes in, if he sees something that he doesn't like for his jurisdiction or something that he thinks is a dangerous situation, then he can make that.
Okay, Laura, you got what you need on,
Okay, I think I can put it as all wire must be protected from damage in an approved manner by the fire department or the inspector.
as approved by the fire marshal, yeah. Any other comments or questions? Yeah, one? Yes.
My question was just to clarify the permit process will dictate the day things can be open an hour.
Yes, on the permit, it will specify the dates of permits. They'll receive in a letter of intent so that they can order their fireworks, but the actual permit will have the dates that they're able to open. Not the time, I think, is designated within here on their sales, but as far as date wise, it will say, for example, they can be open from June 20th to July 5th. It'll have on the permit the dates that they're allowed to do sales.
I have 2 questions. Number 1, are there specific areas within the city limits that you have looked at that will be sufficient for fireworks tents or stands?
As far as the way that the regulations, as far as how far they have to be from the road, how far they have to be from the property line, that they can't be so close to the gas station or a combustible area, that limits where it can be. So pretty much somebody cannot open their garage and sell them out of their driveway. Because they have to meet the regulations as far as where the fireworks stand can be permitted. Are we allowing them to be in residential areas or in only commercial areas? That's not within the we don't specify a specific zoning that they have to be in. They just have to meet the requirements that we list within it.
Okay, second one. What about Memorial Day? To me, Memorial Day is a more important holiday than New Year's Eve. I mean, I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I do know that people shoot fireworks. That's a 3-day weekend during Memorial Day.
Haven't seen them sell on Memorial Day.
Have you not?
Have you?
The only time I've ever seen stands open is for July 4th and New Year's Eve.
Yeah, me too. Commissioners have any other questions? Yeah, good point. Does the public have any more questions or comments?
So add an hour's operation. I can add that on the application with the date, the hours of operation. So I'm not sure just off the top of my head if there is if there's a state law on the hours. So I'll have to look into that to add that as well to see.
Okay, no other questions or comments. It's 7:25. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, I'd entertain a motion to approve the amendments to the UDC as presented and amended with Laura Nobles tonight. Motion from Commissioner Lowe and Chuck, is that a second? Roll call vote, please.
Prater.
Yes.
Knapp.
Yes.
Moudy.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Lowe.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
All right, great. That is approved and we'll send that on to council. All right, next item on the agenda, Kim.
Final plat, lots 1 and 2, VZ edition, Jamie LaFever.
So Laura, I guess you're still up to bat here. I don't see Courtney on yet.
I am here.
Oh, there she is. Okay, we'll note that Commissioner Knapp is going to need to recuse himself.
Laura, would you like me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so this is the lots 1 and 2 of the VZ edition final plat. This is really a very simple plat. It's located off of Care Station Road. It is part of a larger unplatted property, and they wanted to construct 2 residential lots out of this property. Lot 2 will be 3 acres in size, and lot 1 is 4.14 acres in size, proposed to be. They completed everything except for one very minor condition on their plat, and we don't have any additional comments for it.
Okay.
It's just residential.
Yeah. Thanks, Courtney. Jamie, is there anything you want to add to that, or?
I don't know if anybody has any questions. It's just for one single house. We're building a house for these people. They bought the land and get building permit.
Pretty straightforward. Any questions for commissioners? If not, entertain a motion to approve. Motion from Commissioner Moudy. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Byrd. Roll call vote, please.
Prater.
Yes.
Moudy.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Lowe.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
All right, that does pass 5-1. All right, let's go ahead into the next item of business.
Preliminary plat, Caden Place, Lemons Engineering.
Courtney?
I believe this one was tabled at the request of the applicant.
Yes, staff did receive an email from the applicant to ask for this item to be tabled until next month.
All right, let's go ahead and get a motion to table this one.
Make a motion to table.
Motion from Commissioner Byrd. Prater, is that a second? Roll call vote, please.
Prater.
Yes.
Knapp.
Yes.
Moudy.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Lowe. Bird,
Yes.
All right, next item on the agenda, Kim?
replat, Lot 2R, Home Depot subdivision, Bond Consulting Engineers.
Courtney?
Yes, this is located off of Going Drive. It's 6.48 acres. They're asking to plat this into one lot. However, there's a little bit of a problem with their legal description, but that should be a very minor correction to make sure that we include all of the property that is intended to be included. What they're asking for is just to replat it into Lot 2R. There's a little bit of floodplain on the property. I'm not sure if that slide made it into the presentation, and they'll need to show that in its entirety. They were only showing a portion of it on their plat, so that will need to be updated. But all in all, this is very simple, and they have corrected most of their comments. There are a few minor deficiencies that, again, showing the floodplain in its entirety and making sure that they get the remnants of that Dakota Shopping Center in the legal description and shown on the plat. So there are no further comments from staff.
All right. Aaron, is there anything else you want to add to this item? Commissioners have any questions? If not, I entertain a motion to approve. Got a motion to approve from Commissioner Lowe and a second from Commissioner Ward. Roll call vote, please.
Prater.
Yes.
Knack,
Yes.
Moudy,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Bird,
Yes.
All right, that replat is approved. Next item on the agenda.
preliminary plat, Meadows at Cabot, Bond Consulting Engineers.
Courtney?
This project is located off of north of St. John Street, and that connects over to 2nd Street. So there's an option to purchase this from Steve Perry from the current owner, Patricia Knox. The request is to replat or to plat one preliminary lot that is 5.42 acres in size. Eventually, they will be asking for a site plan approval for a multifamily development on this one lot that they're creating right now. But they had some changes to that, so it will be on next month's agenda instead of this month. They have addressed all of the comments, just one very minor comment. And then there's a note on St. John Street. It is a local street and requires 50 foot of right of way. The applicant is providing their half of the required right of way, but we need to make sure that it's very clearly noted that 50 total feet will be needed. Right now it says that the right of way is 40 feet. And I understand what the applicant is saying, that that's how much is there now. But I think a note needs to be added that says this is a local street and overall the total will be required to be 50 feet if the property to the south ever develops.
Just to clarify, according to 50 foot of right of way, is that correct? Along where it abuts St. John's?
Right. So they've dedicated the 10 foot that they need to dedicate on their northern side of the property. But since it's a local street, the minimum required is 50 feet. So they've dedicated what they're responsible for, but the note is confusing.
Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, Aaron, is there anything you want to add to this one?
I'm afraid I just confused it. Unless y'all have any questions, but we can talk about the right of way and all that, but I mean, she's explained it pretty well. We put a note on there. I guess we need to modify our note a little bit because we've dedicated our portion.
Okay. All right. So commissioners, I think we've seen this one. Chuck, this was probably, and Liz, you probably remember this one. A couple years ago where I think they had an apartment complex that came before us. So I'm familiar with the property. Not sure what happened in the end to that, but commissioners have any questions about that or?
How does this fit the area there? Is that mostly just residential?
So there's apartments to the north. If you see the map I got up here and it was in your packet, there's apartments to the north side. It's residential abutting it on the west and south side. And there's that single family, the single house that sets up on the hill just to the north of that. Backing up to the St. John's Road there.
Yes, and one of our comments for the site plan review is that they need to make sure to take care to address the adjacencies for those single family units that are adjacent to them. So that will be further reviewed and seen at site plan.
And zoning wise, refresh my memory, we're setting at what, multifamily?
Yes, R4M, RM.
R4M.
Yes, R4M.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Anyone?
Just to clarify, this is taking an unplatted portion of R4 and moving into a one lot of R4, is that correct?
Yeah, so this is the Knox property. And basically, this is the back part of it that was rezoned for multifamily. The rest of the property is, especially there along Second Street, that is all commercial. So this is she sold this part of the property that's zoned for multifamily, and there's a purchase agreement as far as, as long as everything gets approved through planning commission and everything else, for them to purchase it, we'll put the multifamily on it. So we're creating a one lot subdivision just for planning purposes.
Not changing the zone.
Not changing the zone, no sir. And so Chapel Ridge actually abuts the property to the north. The fire marshal actually kind of talked to me about, I know I'm jumping the gun here, about trying to connect the two properties together. That wasn't doable. And then also along Chapel Ridge Drive, that property right there is R4 as well. That was the Carson quadplexes, if you remember that. So everything to the north of it is multifamily, and then you got residential to the west and to the south, and then commercial will be to the east.
I know we're gonna look at the site plan development later.
Next month.
I would hope that, we can look at sidewalks,
We have them in there.
and look at the traffic situation. We're gonna dump a bunch more people out of the.
Well, it sounds like it's going to require widening and improving where it abuts St. John, correct?
And all that's taken care of inside.
Okay. Okay, I think it's pretty straightforward where we are now. I mean, the replat, it is, I don't think there's any other issues we can address. Any other questions, commissioners? I'd recommend a motion to approve.
A motion to approve the replat as requested. Excuse me.
Yes.
I think we did. You want to make a comment?
Is any alderman? You're welcome to come up and say.
Sorry, I know the rules for our meetings. I don't know what the rules are for y'all, so I know if I can talk here this time. But for those I didn't have the pleasure of meeting before the meeting started, I'm Michael Jones. I represent Ward 1, Division 2 on the city council, and I live on St. John Street. I lived on St. John Street for my entire life. My parents have lived there. My grandmother has also lived there for the last 50 years. As you can say, the St. John area is definitely our home. The last time that this issue came before the planning commission was a few years ago, I believe. And I want to say there maybe was a time before that one, but I was not involved in the community of that at that moment, so I can't speak to that. However, I do remember the last time that this issue came up. The residents of St. John Street, needless to say, were not in favor of this. St. John Street, just like every other street in town, especially the older streets, is heavily congested with traffic. We like to say that it's a cut through for people trying to get from West Main Street to Second Street. If you're a longtime resident of St. John Street, you do not leave your home between the times of 3 to 6 in the afternoon, because you know what the traffic is like. However, for those that are new to the area, because in the last few years, we have seen an increase in younger families moving into the St. John area. For those individuals, they're not really aware of those long-term unspoken rules. And so we have seen an increase in pedestrian traffic. Children on bikes, scooters, on foot, young families, especially those with smaller children. So you see strollers, moms pushing strollers down the road. Of course, the issue with that is that there's no sidewalks. There's no shoulder or anything like that on St. John Street as it is now. Now, as was passed in the bond issue, there will be improvements coming to St. John Street. However, I do not think that those improvements will be quite enough to handle the load that will be dumped onto. So that's why I'm interested to know, and perhaps the gentleman behind me can answer my question, what the density would be for this proposed development.
Since this is just a preliminary plat, not the site plan, it's really hard for me to, I guess, because I don't have everything in front of me, and I'd have to ask the architect exactly how many bedrooms. I think it's actually on the site plan, but I don't remember off the top of my head how many bedrooms there are, how many parking spaces. So it's kind of at this stage, it would not be prudent for me to try and enter that without the additive permit.
I can understand that completely. We'll see more information. I will say, can stand by what I said, in that the residents of St. John Street at this time really aren't in favor of this project. I would like to see perhaps the site plan and see what the proposed driveways would be in and out of this development, and before any more of us show up here and inundate all of you. Don't want to overwhelm anybody, but I can totally understand wanting this to move forward to the site plan, and I myself am curious, but ultimately it is the commission's decision. I just appreciate y'all giving me this time to express the sentiments of my constituents, and hope that it did not fall on deaf ears. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. All right. In our new business items here, we got a motion to approve the preliminary plat, the Meadows, from Commissioner Ward. Do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Prater. Roll call vote, please.
Prater,
Yes.
Knapp,
Yes.
Moudy,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Bird,
Yes.
All right, the preliminary plat is approved. So now we will open it up to public comment, input. Anybody else have anything? Seeing none. We'll close the community input. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn? We'll pick up next month. Motion to adjourn from Commissioner Moudy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Byrd. All in favor, say aye. All right, we'll see you next month. Thank you, guys.